J Squad.
The death of Ashli Babbitt on January 6, 2021, remains a controversial event. Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, was shot and killed during the breach of the U.S. Capitol. Her family, seeking answers and accountability, filed a $30 million wrongful death lawsuit. They claim her death was unjustified and avoidable. This lawsuit has thrust the events of that day back into the spotlight. It raises important questions about the use of force by law enforcement and the right to protest. The Babbitt family's lawsuit targets the U.S. government and specifically names U.S. Capitol Police Officer Lieutenant Michael Byrd as the defendant. They allege that Byrd used excessive force when he shot Babbitt. The lawsuit also claims negligence on the part of the Capitol Police. The family argues that the events leading to Babbitt's death were mishandled, ultimately leading to the tragic outcome. This lawsuit is not just about financial compensation, it is about seeking justice for their loved one and holding those responsible accountable. The family's pursuit of justice has been met with mixed reactions. Some see Babbitt as a martyr, a victim of government overreach. Others believe her actions on January 6th warranted the use of deadly force. The lawsuit has become a lightning rod for political debate, further polarizing an already divided nation. Despite the controversy, the Babbitt family remains resolute in their quest for the truth. They believe this lawsuit is necessary to ensure transparency and accountability. The outcome of this case has significant implications. It could set a precedent for future cases involving the use of force during protests and civil unrest. The trial is expected to be lengthy and emotionally charged. It will undoubtedly reopen wounds from that fateful day and force the nation to confront difficult questions about law enforcement, civil rights, and the very essence of American democracy. As of the making of this video, re-elected President Trump has also spoken about this case, adding another layer of complexity to an already contentious issue. The events of January 6, 2021, unfolded against a backdrop of political tension and unrest. Thousands of individuals gathered in Washington, D.C. They were there to protest the results of the 2020 presidential election. Among them was Ashli Babbitt, a 35-year-old Air Force veteran. She was a vocal supporter of then-President Donald Trump. The crowd, fueled by unsubstantiated claims of election fraud, eventually breached the Capitol building. Inside the Capitol, chaos and confusion reigned. Protesters clashed with law enforcement officers attempting to secure the building. The situation escalated, and it was in this chaotic environment that Ashli Babbitt was fatally shot. Babbitt, along with a group of protesters, had made their way to a barricaded area inside the Capitol. She was directed to this location and was attempting to climb through a broken window when Lieutenant Michael Byrd, a Capitol Police officer, fired a single shot. The bullet struck Babbitt, who later died from her injuries. The shooting of Ashli Babbitt was captured on video, and the footage quickly went viral. The images of Babbitt, unarmed and fatally wounded, sparked outrage and fueled conspiracy theories. The incident immediately became a focal point in the national debate about the January 6th attack. Supporters of law enforcement argued that Lieutenant Byrd acted lawfully to protect himself and others from a dangerous mob. They maintained that Babbitt's death, while tragic, was a consequence of her own actions. However, others saw Babbitt's death as an example of excessive force by law enforcement. They argued that the shooting was unjustified and that Babbitt posed no imminent threat. They also say as of recently that she was not even part of the protest. The conflicting narratives surrounding Babbitt's death reflected the deep political divisions within the country. The January 6th attack and the events leading up to it had exposed the fragility of American democracy and the potential for violence in the face of political polarization. The $30 million wrongful death lawsuit filed by the Babbitt family hinges on several key allegations. The lawsuit claims that Ashli Babbitt was unarmed and posed no imminent threat to Lieutenant Byrd or anyone else when she was shot. It alleges that Byrd used excessive force and that his actions were negligent and reckless. The family contends that Babbitt was exercising her First Amendment rights to free speech and assembly. They argue that her death was a direct result of Lieutenant Byrd's actions and the failure of the Capitol Police to adequately train and supervise its officers. The lawsuit also raises questions about the events leading up to the shooting. It alleges that the Capitol Police failed to adequately secure the Capitol building, despite having prior knowledge of the potential for violence. The family's legal team argues that this negligence created a chaotic and dangerous environment that ultimately led to Babbitt's death. The lawsuit further alleges that Lieutenant Byrd did not issue a warning before firing his weapon. They claim that Babbitt was not given an opportunity to comply with any commands before being fatally shot. The Babbitt family's legal team plans to present evidence they say supports their claims. This evidence includes witness testimony, video footage of the shooting, and expert analysis. They will argue that the evidence will show that Lieutenant Byrd's actions were not justified and that Ashli Babbitt's death was preventable. The lawsuit seeks to hold Lieutenant Byrd and the U.S. government accountable for their alleged negligence and misconduct. The $30 million in damages sought by the family is intended to compensate for the loss of Ashli's life, as well as for their pain and suffering. The lawsuit has garnered significant attention, with both sides of the political spectrum closely following its progress. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications for the way law enforcement interacts with individuals in the future. It also raises important questions about the limits of free speech and the government's responsibility to protect its citizens even during times of civil unrest. The path to justice for the Babbitt family has been marked by delays and procedural hurdles. Originally scheduled for 2025, the trial date has been pushed back to July 20, 2026. This delay was granted at the request of the family's lawyers, who cited the need for more time to gather evidence and prepare their case. The venue for the trial has also been a point of contention. Initially filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of California, the case was later transferred to the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. The change of venue to Washington, D.C. was seen as a setback for the Babbitt family. They argued that a fair trial would be impossible in the nation's capital, given the intense media scrutiny and political climate surrounding the January 6th events. However, the judge ultimately ruled that the District of Columbia was the proper venue, as it was the location where the shooting occurred and where many of the witnesses and evidence were located. Despite the venue change, the family's legal team remains determined to secure a fair trial. They have vowed to vigorously pursue all legal avenues available to them. The Babbitt family's lawyers have been actively engaged in the discovery phase of the lawsuit. This process involves gathering evidence from the defendants, including documents, videos, and witness statements. The discovery process has been contentious at times, with the family's lawyers accusing the government of withholding crucial information. Despite the challenges, the Babbitt family remains steadfast in their pursuit of justice for Ashli. They view the lawsuit as a way to hold those responsible for her death accountable and to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. The trial, when it finally commences, is expected to be closely watched by the public and the media. It will likely delve into the chaotic events of January 6th, examining the actions of both the protesters and law enforcement. The outcome of the trial could have significant implications for how future cases involving the use of force by law enforcement during protests are handled. It also has the potential to further inflame political tensions and reopen wounds from that divisive day in American history. The Babbitt family, however, remains focused on seeking justice for Ashli and ensuring that her death is not forgotten.